Hello.
Classic. Hello.
Which one is a classic? They're all classics.
They're all classics. So many classic shots in that.
And
Paul,
now that
I love
we're,
Harrison Ford. I'm not afraid to say it. I think this is a show to say it. I love Harrison Ford. How do you feel about Harrison?
You think this is the platform for that? Don't go out.
God, I hope so.
I'll take a risk. Yes, it's the Ford Fiesta, and it is all about Harrison Ford. So today's show is mostly, well, we got a ton of news to talk about.
Okay.
And other weird stuff and fun things and games to play. But we are going to cover the second half of our Regarding Henry episode. Now, Adam, how far away are we from getting finished episodes of the Ford Fiesta, non-streaming, edited episodes up and running?
Paul, we're very close.
I think when they're up, the floodgates will open and you'll get one like every 1 or 2 weeks.
We're going to, at this point, as soon as this one, I cracked the seal on the inadvertent break between phases, which starting with the end of phase 2 with the next thing we release. But I really hate having all this raw audio and no shows. So it's nice that we're keeping up a great pace here, recording them, and doing them weekly. But I would love the podcast feed to reflect as much creativity as we're putting into the recordings of them. So,
well, I started to realize we're just gathering information, and then the season will begin. Now, there doesn't have to be any tie to when we're recording to when an episode goes up. But now that this is how it is, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And hello.
Hello from hello.
Well, I was going to say it's got to be midnight there. Is that right? So we appreciate you chiming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Star Wars Celebration, is that still going on, or did that finish up yesterday?
It finished up today. Yeah, there was a new trailer for Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures among the announcements today.
Okay.
But the big announcements were the last 3 days, including something else we'll talk about. Absolutely, for sure. But
did Harrison Ford make an appearance in any way?
I was close. 8 hours off. Okay. No, he did. He did actually via video.
Did he?
Yeah. Although in person you had Mads, Phoebe, and James Mangold show up to introduce the new trailer. Title of Destiny. You haven't seen it yet?
No, I'm not watching that.
We're not showing any clips today.
I can avert my eyes. Wait,
I mean, you want to see this. This is all I'll play. But
okay.
You want to see
for the show, we need to. I understand, Paul. I can't adhere to my old ways of not watching the trailers now that we're talking about Harrison Ford every week. I get it.
But just this one phrase.
Okay.
And you're in. All right, here we go.
Give him hell, Indiana Jones.
Come on. And now that we're going over all these movies again, and
was that a Hanover Street plane I saw at the end of that too? Ooh. You've driven one of those before.
When we realize what a pain in the ass he's been to everybody, that's what it is. It's like, give him hell. Like, he's gonna give him hell. Whoever he's bothering, and it's, I think we all know, Nazis sort of resurfacing years after the war.
That's what we want. That's the key moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talked about what an incredible nuisance he is to Belloc. And, that's just so whoever, if he decides to stop teaching and go bother somebody, give him hell, Indy. It's going to be great.
Give him hell, Indiana Jones. Well, and by the way, I was not going to watch the previous trailer. You came over. We were about to watch something, and you go, "Let's watch it." I go, "Okay." I dim the lights. I put on all the, and I just sit and watch that. And of course, it blew me away. It's the same thing as the Phantom Menace. It's validation that this actually exists. This is actually coming out. I'm actually going. That's a very tough pill to swallow, because it's just like, it's unbelievable. Not tough, but like unbelievable. Like, I can't wrap my head around it. So I know this one's gonna have more footage, and I can't wrap my head around it, Paul. I'm just like, I can't. Like, part of me is like, I can't watch it. I can't. And the other part of me is like, ooh, I don't want to be spoiled. But that's just a highly technical side. Like, in my brain, it's just like, I seriously can't handle this.
Well, this trailer introduces the device at the center of the title.
Okay.
And I mean, not much else. These guys wanted to get this talk about how his life is tied in with Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. And, there's obviously references to the past and stuff. But, yeah, it starts very differently. You want me to show you how it starts?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Tease me.
I'm retiring.
I'll leave it there.
Oh. Too many feels, my friend. I just can't even.
Dude, you're gonna cry by the end of this thing. I'm
gonna cry. Here's the other thing, Paul. As much as I didn't regret watching the first one with you, and I know we have a weekly show where we talk about Harrison Ford, we have to talk about the news of the week, which he makes news every week now. It's so funny. It's you go back to some of our earlier episodes, you're like, he was walking today.
Somebody saw him biking.
Yeah. But now the news is news, and it's everywhere. But when I went over to my neighborhood theater here, Paul, the TCL Chinese Theater.
Yes,
it's been here for a few years. But when I saw the last trailer on the full IMAX screen, I mean, there's watching the trailer, and then there's like watching the trailer. So part of me is also like, when is this going to be in front of movies that I can go to the TCL and see?
Yeah, I saw it with you. I mean, obviously, I saw it just before you in my own living room, cranked up and windows shut. But then in front of Ant-Man, when I saw that previous trailer, then it sank in. So wherever this plays in the theater, it's gonna sink in.
And that's the biggest screen I've ever seen. That's
the biggest IMAX in the country. Yeah.
Is it in the country? Okay. I was going to say.
I was doing some research on that for the tour.
Okay.
And that's what I dug up. I hope it's true.
Because I don't know how much of Indiana Jones is shot in IMAX, or am I just like reacting to like seeing it that big and that alive and that music? I mean, there's no better speakers in any theater, I think, in Los Angeles either than that place. But I was just like, but it looked like it was IMAX format. It looked like it took up the whole screen from what I remember. But again,
it's a unique take on a Indiana Jones trailer to start with the Rolling Stones, right? Which is what that is. It eventually morphs into John Williams, and the way he closes out that trailer with like it's John Williams as hell. It's so good. Yeah, you won't be able to handle it.
I won't be able to handle it. Yeah. I like that. John Williams.
It's just a take on the Raiders March, but it has all the feels. It's so good.
Well, that's the great thing they did with those original Star Wars trailers too, and that's the sequel trailers, is that they're choosing not the biggest, Star Wars riff. They're like, and I think for these, they're redone, reorchestrated everything. Those are recordings, like the trailer cuts of these, I believe. And so I just love the parts of the music that they're bringing out. And exactly. There's a da-da-da at the end of the last one, hitting that, and it's just bum 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 bum. The way they have reorchestrated that is just like, oh my gosh, it's out of control, Paul.
It's way out of control.
How is this happening?
Should we get into regarding Henry?
We'll talk some regarding Henry, and then and then at the end of the show, we have some upkeep to do, Paul, which is that we haven't finished ranking Harrison Ford movies.
Yeah, when we last did it, a certain number of movies come out, and now there's been a certain number more. So it's time to take the new ones and ones we didn't currently rank in the top 10, which was easy to do, and see where they fall.
Yeah, so we'll be doing the bottom 15, and then at the end of that, basically going up to Last Crusade, which is when we did that with Mara and did our top 10. Then we'll go, okay, where does Regarding Henry and Presumed Innocent fall on that same list?
Correct. Yeah, we'll do that. All right. But
so if Presumed Innocent or Regarding Henry are in your rankings right now, don't mention them until we get to the end, and we'll swing back around for those.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. And you may notice, I think I turned off Wi-Fi, and I've got the Ethernet plugged in here. So I think that's working better than, I don't know. We were so busy making fun of your internet, then mine decided to go to crap. And that's the last thing I need.
Mine sneakily got good. I mean, I haven't broken up in a while, have I?
Yeah, I think, that's the weird part. You took no steps and it got better. I added this, I got a whole thing with an adapter and
maybe all the rain fixed my problem and then made your situation soggier, and now yours is, wait till it dries out or fully or whatever.
And this is a good computer. It's my desktop that kind of sucks and really needs, despite the Ethernet plugging in there, that can be logy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sure you all went away and watched Regarding Henry in preparation
of course,
for
the audience
show.
keeps up with us.
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh my god, I got to watch Regarding Henry. It's Sunday. They're going to talk about it tomorrow." I think that's our audience, right?
So let's do that, Adam. Let's talk about it. We're obviously in this part of our show, in the finished show, we will be coming out of the recap of the plot with applause and going into
which we'll record next week. It's like Pulp Fiction. This show, you won't really know what we're talking about until next week.
Fire up the old Timinator.
What's that?
Fire up the QuickTime or GarageBand or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, hold on. I think I started recording because I thought we might go straight into it. Yep, I'm recording. All right, and we don't have a guest this week. We're just going to talk about it ourselves just to keep on pace for the discussion and then recording the script. And the person who said they wanted to be on the show this week, we've decided there's a new punishment. If they want to come on the show again, they now have to talk about Firewall. That's your punishment if you ditch on us.
So
I mean, he's probably working, but yeah.
Tune in to see the Firewall episode, and whoever's our guest there.
You can come on the show. You just have to talk about Firewall.
David can't record on his QuickTime because he's streaming from his phone. He always wants to be part of the QuickTime. I get it. I don't. So there you go. That's
catch his reactions.
All right.
We'll just dub him in later and just be David McKay going.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Regarding Henry.
Everything you wanted to know about Regarding Henry, but we're afraid to ask because you might get shot.
I think we've established now that this is not a horribly deep movie, so that may have been everything you need to know about Regarding Henry. There may not be anything more, except, of course, there's some behind-the-scenes stuff, which we'll talk about now. And Regarding Henry, of course, came out in 1991. Big year for Annette Bening. She later appeared in Bugsy, and so a 1-2 punch of two of the biggest stars of all time working with Harrison Ford and Warren Beatty.
So unlike the two leads in this movie who clearly both wanted to be nominated for Oscars, only one of them got nominated, and it wasn't for this movie.
Yeah. No, I didn't think she was nominated either. I think we looked ahead at that. She was not nominated for Bugsy, despite its 6 or 7 nominations that it got.
Oh, she wasn't nominated for that.
No, here's what she won. Jumping ahead a bit, she won the London Film Critics Newcomer of the Year award. So there you go. And that didn't even include Bugsy, because within the past year she appeared in The Grifters, which I think she was nominated for that.
That was how America kind of first found out about her, right?
Yeah. Postcards from the Edge, which she had a great funny little part in that. Valmont, which I never saw, and Guilty by Suspicion. You ever see Guilty by Suspicion?
No. What is that? Who's in that? I know that name.
It's I've always wanted to see it. I think it's about the communism in the film industry with De Niro? And it's a big Irwin Winkler.
Oh, it is. You're right. Yeah. It is. Someone gave me a copy of that because they were getting rid of it in college, and I owned it for a few years. I don't think I ever watched it.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see it. God, to think about those movies now that are like 20 years old that I wanted to see that. And 20 years passed. That's probably one of them.
Okay, so Benning's in that, as is George Wendt, written and directed by Irwin Winkler.
Wow. Yeah. So it was this big. He didn't do much of that, but that was his. That was one of them. Must have had a thing about Hollywood, about people coming after producers. He's like, I'm gonna make a film about it.
But also, like Irwin Winkler, at this point, he's like, oh, I've cemented my history. I'm doing passion project. This has got to be like a passion project, I would think, to actually direct it for Winkler.
Yeah. I mean, he's got an Oscar, so he's do whatever he wants.
Right.
And Regarding Henry, then not produced by Irwin Winkler, but produced actually J.J. Abrams. Famously wrote this script. As Jeffrey Abrams, but even more so, he has a co-producer credit on this movie, which I find amazing considering that he was all of like 25 years old. In fact, he appears in the film in that brief moment as a delivery boy, and you're you're like going, wait, what? Who is that? You have to double check that you think it's him, and it is him. Yeah. He's a young punk writing a Harrison Ford movie directed by Mike Nichols that he ends up getting a co-producer credit on.
I know. It's crazy, right? I heard the Griffin Newman's podcast, Blank Check. They had the greatest reference to J.J. Abrams because his career. So even before this, he had made all of his 8mm films, and then he was able to digitize all these 8mm films. And when Spielberg found out about that, he needed someone to digitize his 8mm films. So this young kid got tapped to do that. That might even be before this. And Griffin Newman has called him basically the Forrest Gump of the 90s movies. Like, he's just got all these weird little, and then he shows up in this, and he's a producer on that. It's like, wait, where's this guy coming from? Yeah, he was in he was everywhere. Yeah.
Here are other credits he had, though, by the time he made Regarding Henry, which I forgot that he even had. Did you know
me
he
too.
wrote Taking Care of Business? The
No.
Rolodex movie with, I think, Belushi and Groden? Is he the other guy?
Belushi and Groden, he wrote that?
Yeah. And he, at this point, was already a script doctor on movies like Casper and Picture Perfect. So I mean, you could say he was in line for a producer credit, but after 3 movies, but after those 3 movies, I guess would be my question.
What probably happens is this one gets bought as a spec and they go, oh, this is a very good script. Obviously, a lot of actors are going to want to play this challenge. They go, this is great for, this is going to be great for Oscars, all that sort of stuff that, so I bet that was bought and in production or and because of that, he was getting all this other writing work. Well, the other writing work had been so successful that they're like, okay, we made a good choice in buying this script. And now at this point, his agency is like, wow, should make him a producer on it. Look at this guy's gold,
Yeah. And let's not forget he later wrote Gone Fishing. So there you go.
Did
or maybe around this time and it was sold and made later. But his next
Gone
movie,
Fishing, the one with the grumpy old men reunion?
It's Danny Glover and Joe Pesci. So kind of.
Oh my God. What a poster.
But his next movie after this, he was an executive producer. So he went boop, boop, boop. He did Forrest Gump his way right up into that, and it was Forever Young with Mel Gibson. So he's working with nothing but the biggest names here, back to back, Ford and Gibson in the 90s.
Yeah.
But this Ford movie doesn't have the budget of some of the franchises, $25 million. So it grosses 43 domestic, which, might go, that's not so great.
Yeah.
Of course, at 91, it's still not so bad. But then 88 million worldwide on 25, still pretty good for the for the phase 3, for a phase 3 movie.
Phase 3, Harrison Ford.
It, right?
This is the last movie of phase 3.
Yes.
Phase 4 begins with Patriot Games.
Yeah, boy, and then we get on a run, don't we?
A return to form, I think we would call that. Yes. Phase 4 is definitely Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, The Fugitive, Air Force One, and Sabrina. There's always an outlier.
There's always one. Yeah, there was always one. The tagline for this movie.
Crusade in phase
3. Exactly. The tagline here, the story of a man who had everything, but found something more. That's on most of the posters you're going to see. But here's what's but how about this one? This is the one I don't see anywhere, but it was listed on IMDb. So maybe showed up in Europe or on a late DVD or something. His life was based on power, success. His life was based on power, success, and ruthlessness until a bullet made him think again.
Oh, geez. I guess some people get off easy, have their son make a wish that they would stop being such a lawyer, and then then he can no longer. I guess some kids get off easy that way. This one the father had to get shot.
Yeah.
90s dads, when will you stop with your being on your cell phone and working so hard? Come on, 90s dads. By the way, this whole movie at the beginning of it until he gets shot, you're like, I 100% see him running to make his daughters play at the end of this movie to prove that he is a good father and running through the streets. And it takes a turn, but you're like, okay, I know where this is going. Hope. Yeah. Ooh, I hope Peter Banning turns back into Peter Pan or whatever.
And I think they have fake Don LaFontaine doing the trailer, bringing that same gravitas.
Right there when you described the thing, he was a man who was doing that.
Fine for the defendant on all counts.
Yes.
Success made Henry Turner's life perfect.
Give me a break, will you? I just want a pack of cigarettes.
Fate.
Henry, I know you can hear me.
Made it something more.
Something more. God, so good. Yeah.
So how about your first time seeing this, Adam? When was it?
Now, that was during quarantine. I was living with my roommate.
Wait, you only just saw this for the first time recently?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd never seen Regarding Henry. In fact, I realized when I watched it, I was like, I thought I'd seen scenes of this. I hadn't seen any of Regarding Henry. I guess this is going to come along around the time of going to college. And so I think I'm much more like, let's watch some art films, baby. I'm in all the film programs and mass media and all that stuff. And I'm like, and I always just kind of openly rejected. And I can't help myself while watching it this time, as much as I love Harrison Ford. And the movie is good. Outright rejecting just a Oscar grub. It's like, oh, here he goes with the Oscar grub. I ain't going to see that. I don't think that was my full opinion at the time. I was still seeing all the Harrison Ford movies. I just somehow didn't see this one. But it seemed like a Oscar grub, you know.
I picked up your slack. I was working at a movie theater and saw it once, and then of course many times thereafter, scenes of it all the time, just like closing down the concession stand and walking in and watching my favorite Bill Nunn scenes or whatever. But I realized, talking about how much I'd seen this movie, that I just can't build nostalgia for a movie like I did for that era's movies again. Not just because of how much time has passed, but even if I set out to like have a great memory, but I just don't see them as much as the time I worked in a movie theater. When I worked in a movie theater, I'd walk in for every laugh line of Crocodile Dundee just to hear the people crack up, or walk in at the grossest part of Alien just to hear the people go, "What the?" Or Aliens, I should say, the second one. Going into Last Crusade countless times to watch the tank chase. Then those movies just build up a whole different position in your brain and in your heart,
which is cool.
Today can, for me.
Well, but what's cool is you get to keep that Regarding Henry forever. I only get the Regarding Henry that I watched 2 years ago. Like you get to have that. And for me, working in the movie theater 93, the amount of time it took to close down the concession stand and take off your clothes and all that sort of stuff after the final showings had started was the exact amount of time that it took to Richard Kimball to get to the tunnel with Tommy Lee Jones. And I didn't kill my wife. I saw that scene every night leaving that theater. And then sometimes it'd be like, I'm just going to sit down and watch the rest of this thing. I did that many nights. Yeah. Especially The Fugitive. It ain't going to get boring from here.
Nope. So yeah, I mean, and hopefully they're, younger kids working in movie theaters now building those same nostalgia
to go back to
Marvel movies, perhaps. Yeah.
Well, no, but there's also the fact that just like our generation had our sort of cable movies, in terms of like Comedy Central and things like that, kids that grew up with cable, which I did not, like my roommate, she's like, Regarding Henry was on all the time. She'd seen Regarding Henry 50 times. And she's like, oh my God, you've never seen it? Because that was just one of those ones that just played on like daytime cable or whatever, like one of the Lifetime or something, just would play over and over. So she knew all the movies from like the mid to late 80s, early 90s that were just on all the time on cable, like, commercial cable.
I think we had those 70s and 80s movies on HBO that we always reference as well. Yeah.
So, I mean, another generation after us now in the streaming, I don't know how that works in streaming, but the generation after us did have, sort of Comedy Central would show How High, or not How High. What's the other one with Dave Chappelle?
Half Baked. Yeah.
Half Baked or PCU. Like I have younger friends of mine who know PCU backwards and forwards. Like, oh, that's your Caddyshack. Well, yeah, they showed it every day on Comedy Central, So, but I don't know. The streaming generation doesn't really. I feel like it's like one and done for this current generation. There's no watching stuff over and over. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's stuff on Netflix that I just don't get to, but they probably watch it 100 times. But anyway, let's talk about the story of this one. You get Harrison Ford. How do you know he's a jerk right away? Smoking. Have we seen smoking Harrison Ford yet? That's new.
I don't think we have.
Yeah.
This is the first time he's smoked, and this is only the second time he's played a villain, if you count Mosquito Coast, and we do.
But yeah, I mean, he didn't smoke. You'd think if he was going to smoke, it'd be as Deckard, but he didn't.
You're right.
So
there's smoke in every room he's in Blade Runner, but I don't think he's doing it.
Yeah. So. So smoking, jerk. He's a jerk on all fronts when the movie starts.
He's a jerk, but he's not getting a massage or putting. So he's not that type of villain. He's just more of a. If you see a guy getting a massage or putting, you're like, oh, that's a bad guy.
And it's interesting because he has the he's just so not a dick in his movies, but he has the stature to be one. So once you make him one, you see him sort of just like tower through a room or something with the big black long coat and the slick back hair. You're like, whoa, this guy is a jerk. And so he pulled it off right down to pointing in his daughter's face. That pointing is supposed to be reserved for Belloc and 3POs, but he does it to his
call
early on, right in her face. And the only time in the whole movie that he gets, obviously there's your points recap for the movie, but it's one big one right in his daughter's face, and that's no good.
Yeah. And of all people to point at, and it really makes the point. Obviously, he's a detached father. He's on that cell phone too much. He's never going to make it to the play at the end of this movie. But, obviously things take a turn when he goes and gets himself shot.
Yeah.
which is shocking. So shocking, because the other thing is, and we've been talking about this all along, in Frantic or Witness, you cannot discard the baggage of Harrison Ford. He is too simply an icon, which has been the challenge of Phase 3. But much like we're saying in Frantic, I know this guy can punch a guy, boy, when he finally gets a chance, and then he does, and things like that we're like, we can't shed his baggage. We obviously we want him to be innocent and presumed innocent, or oh my, no, there's no way, because of the baggage he cannot be guilty of that. So in this one as well, we're carrying the baggage of like who Harrison Ford is. He's using that stature, and we're uncomfortable with how he's using that. And then when he gets shot, you can't pick a better actor to get shot, frankly, at this time, because of the baggage we have for him. He has been shot maybe 3 times in all of his movies, but he has been missed hundreds of times by bullets,
Yes.
And so when this guy holds up the gun in our head, he's going to dodge this, going to punch that guy. We know, even though, that's not the plot regarding Henry, but in your head, you just can't help but think like, oh, this guy's going to get his. And then he shoots him right in the heart. And you're like, oh, that's not an injury that people just get up from. Like Indiana Jones never got shot in the heart. He got shot in this soft part of the arm, just enough for Marion to wrap a thing around, and then he's good. And then he gets shot in the head. That is a very different ending to Raiders if that happens in Marion's bar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there were John Leguizamo said in his autobiography he got death threats because Harrison Ford was so beloved. He's like,
wow! Oh my gosh! Wow, that goes back to my whole thing about him being the John Wayne of this generation, because the first person ever to kill John Wayne on camera was in the Cowboys. What's his name? The Burbs. Let me look up the Burbs. No, I can't think of his name. Dern.
We'll cut this part out. Look him up.
Dern.
Glenn Ford.
Dern.
Oh, Bruce
Dern. Yeah. So Bruce Dern was the first person ever to kill John Wayne, and boy, the death threats he got for years. So that's really fascinating.
Yeah, and I always thought Ford played getting shot really well. The sort of confusion and the like, no way this would ever happen to me. Sort of just like, wait a second. Wait a second. The confusion that he shows and how shocking it happens, because it happened so early in the story. Like we're just developing Henry. He's got the great hair, like I said, and thank God he didn't get shot in the hair, because that is great hair. And he needed to have that hair.
It would have bounced off this hair, I think.
But it needed to be floppy after he becomes a better dad.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Because I remember when his hair got super floppy later in the movie, and I was like, oh, that's like, what was his haircut at the beginning? I knew it was pretty smooth,
Slick.
but yeah, it's like slicked back, right?
Yeah. But there is one thing interesting that he becomes after he gets shot, not just a better dad, and he has to reestablish his relationship with his wife, and he has to realize that his job is shallow and not doing him any favors and being a good person. But the directness, we talked about this briefly, I think, that he has with people is something I think we would all like to adopt. Like he just kind of says, oh, goodbye, or whatever, like when he wants to leave a scene, when he wants to leave a room or something.
Yeah.
Boy, that would be great to just go, well, goodbye, and just like,
well, goodbye.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Hanging out, talking to people we don't want to talk to, listening to stories we don't listen to. Well, I got to go, and then just leave. It'd be great. We should all adopt a little bit of Henry.
Totally. What's amazing about this too is that this is where the value of studying Harrison Ford as much as we have comes into play, because in early versions, when he would play puppy dog Harrison Ford, or let's say in Getting Straight, like a total this kind of guy sort of thing, and you're like, wow, that's weird for Harrison Ford. And then he kind of keeps going back to it. I didn't expect him in Working Girl to be a dope. I thought he was going to be the high-powered kind of guy in that movie. I had completely forgotten that. I hadn't seen that movie since first time I saw it, but in that, he's kind of got this puppy dog kind of thing too. And so you're like, and so then in this, it's like, he's basically at points in his career has been working up to playing the full puppy dog. Like, and he's good at it. Like all this time along where I'm like, well, that's an odd choice for him. And now you're like, oh, can make a whole performance out of that little thing that we've seen all along the way. Very interesting acting, but the getting shot acting is the best performance moment. It's amazing, actually. Yeah.
Matched by a number of good Annette Bening moments later in the
Oh,
film.
she's so good
I
in
mean,
this
she's just
movie.
holding it together the whole movie, trying to be an adult for the both of them until it finally she feels safe to let it go. And at the end when he says I'm quitting and whatever, and she's like, "Gah!" Like she finally just breaks down. She's quite good.
Yeah. I
Peaking
mean,
at
yeah.
Benning. Peaking at Benning.
Yeah, it's very similar to Helen Mirren, the holding it in the whole time of like
Yes.
complete breakdown.
Yeah. But yeah, so Ford was concerned about playing a lawyer in back-to-back films, presumed innocent in this, but then he realized, well, 10 minutes in, law isn't what the story's about. So he was like, but it's very similar opening. I zoom in on something legal in the courthouse, and in presumed innocence case, it was the jury box. And then eventually there's a monologue. There's no music till after the monologue in presumed innocent. And here it starts with the Hans Zimmer music. Yeah, so they start very similarly, but yeah, he's a jerk in this one. We weren't sure he was a jerk in presumed innocent, but
yeah, and you're trading off the gravitas of I am a lawyer and the sort of idea of like, what is the law? What do lawyers do? The very lofty kind of thing, and this very perfectly shot, composed thing. And in this one, they take your expectations of that, and immediately he's screwing over an old couple who are just like probably on public assistance or whatever, or Medicaid, and to screw them out of a settlement that they rightly belong to them for a pharmaceutical company, working on behalf of the pharmaceutical company.
Yeah,
so
Ford doesn't.
That's a jerk.
Yeah, this is one of Ford's great moments of acting, and that scene where he gets shot. But yeah, people don't talk about him enough as being an actor who looks into all this stuff. Like we just talked about in Presumed Innocent, the research he did with the director. They would go to trials and watch stuff. But here he met a lawyer who got in a car accident and changed his life. Like kind of similarly. So, he does that work. He's, even if he's not a braggart about it, like he's not a braggart about anything. That's what we like about Harrison Ford. He's just quietly doing the work, and you'll see it on the screen. So
he is not phoning it in. This phase is frankly incredible. As we've said over and over, this phase is frankly incredible because to try and shed the baggage of Han Solo and Indiana Jones, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And just the variety that phase 3 has, ending with another completely different style, a completely different form. And as I said, this one's got its feet in one of the genres of the day, because we're always saying, oh, what genres has he done, whatever. This is basically, in terms of his acting, the body switching movie where he becomes a kid. and his kid has to become the adult. In that library scene, she's the adult telling him to stop it. She's the one that has to teach him to read, which is what an amazing turn that is, and the fact that his daughter can now relate to him because he's the child. So it's like, it's big in a way. And you're like, would you like to see, and we said during this, you're like, who else can perform this part? I'm like, Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks only. So he's doing everything that Tom Hanks can do, he can do as well, and better.
Yeah, I mean that was a genre like we already referenced. The dad who learns to be a better person, and the body switching movies. I think we're part of that. So there was a run on that back in that day. I think.
Yeah, and
maybe it was a bend against Reaganism that we just came out of, and now it's time to
return to
punish all the big capitalists for something. I don't know, but
well, that's true. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a big thing you could beat up in movies was corporations and that sort of stuff, because the rich guys were the enemies then. I mean, they still are. We just don't do that in movies anymore.
We do. Yeah, we've moved on to tech guys. Yeah, those
because that court case that's happening at the beginning of this fantastical movie is happening hundreds of times right now all over the United States. I guarantee you. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the beginning of the movie, I mentioned Hans Zimmer brings the music in, and he
was he kind of this time?
What's that?
Was he known at this time? What is his start? I'm gonna look him up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, he was. Well, I think he did Driving Miss Daisy, and so he has reflections of that throughout this. It's sort of the lighter,
very
Hans Zimmer that we know, more reminiscent of Driving Miss Daisy than the bombastic, noisy scores that he's known for now. But like Williams, in Presumed Innocent, right? Williams came on the scene and took a break for a long time. Zimmer does the same. Like he has the music up front, then we get into the headshot and the recovery, and it's not until we know he's going to be okay, and he's getting better and doing his physical therapy with Bill Nunn, that suddenly Hans Zimmer like creeps back in with boom, 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 boom. He's like bringing, I got a little nice theme we could bring here. Otherwise, I went away for a while because you don't need me for all that getting shot stuff.
Yeah, with his omnipresent composer as John Williams, it is so notable and definitely a technique when his music just drops right out. And you were right, the whole time after he gets shot, you do not hear any music till he's healing again and start learning to read and all that sort of stuff.
And there's certainly a choice to be made if you wanted to put music in there for dramatic effect, but that's not Mike Nichols' style. So we didn't.
Well,
when he gets shot,
Yeah.
Speaking
but you
of
bring up a good point, Mike Nichols' style.
You want to talk about the lack thereof?
Does this have Mike Nichols' style?
Does he have a style?
Well,
he's got a type of content that he chooses to direct that may or may not fit what's norm with him, but he's not going to make a bad movie. But this one's very 1991,
right? Yeah, no, I mean it's just like it's so uncynical for him that I'm like, I mean, watching Working Girl, and hey, I could be completely wrong about Working Girl. Maybe that opening number about hailing America and hailing, over corporate structures and this sort of stuff. I'm like, oh, that's irony. Like that's Mike Nichols. That's an FU to corporations. And this one, I can't find any of that. I'm like, it's a very plainly told. I couldn't tell you who directed this if I just watched it.
Yeah, it's pretty sentimental. It's pretty melodramatic, and it doesn't have a signature directing style. But I want to dig back into that music for a second because there's pretty cool credits in it.
Composer of Monkey Trouble.
Well, there you go. I looked him up. Bobby McFerrin is all the rage in 1991, so he does backing vocals on this score. But I'd be damned if I could say where it was. I expected to hear some or something, if it's Bobby McFerrin. But I didn't hear him anywhere in the score. But he's credited.
Well, but I have a feeling because Zimmer's music, it's all like this. It's almost like the score to like Mosquito Coast or something. It's like this sort of like it's the long singing. So maybe he's the voice that's doing some of those really. He's not doing the Bobby McFerrin thing. But his voice, which is so good, is just being used as those long like kind of notes.
I guess I remember more of the theme.
That's cool. Is that the theme?
I think so. Yeah, or it's a theme from some movie around that.
Yeah.
But the other interesting thing to note, and this just sends me off on a tangent, is the band also features not just Bobby McFerrin, but the band composing the score and the musicians include Kyle Eastwood. Now, every time I hear about Kyle Eastwood, I'm thinking, oh yeah, Honky Tonk Man. He was featured on the poster of that movie from 1982 with his dad, Clint. And it's no surprise he went into music because Clint's so into jazz. But the guy has been a session man ever since. He has like 9 albums, Kyle Eastwood. And he's appeared on a musician in every one of his father's films. Not every one of his father's films.
Really?
But every film he's worked on has been one of his father's films. Or a film, Rails and Ties, directed by his sister, Allison. So the only film he's had anything to do with outside of whether he's acting and he's played bit parts outside of the co-starring role in Honky Tonk Man or in the musician role, the only thing he hasn't done that hasn't been with a member of the family is regarding Henry.
For anybody new to the show, if you want to know how much of a movie guy Paul is, when he sees the credit for not Scott Eastwood, who is it?
Kyle
Eastwood. Paul, a lot of us go, Kyle Eastwood. Oh, I recognize that last name. But Paul Preston goes, oh, from Honky Tonk Man. That's the difference between Paul and the rest of us.
Yeah. But well, there you go. You know why? It was on HBO when I was a kid. So there, that's it. A lot. And you could see it.
What's the plot of Honky Tonk Man? I don't want to get off on a tangent here.
I think they're both musicians.
Yeah.
Clint singing as much as that was who knows how often that was requested.
Was it the inspiration for the WWE character, the Honky Tonk Man?
No, that's a strong no. But speaking of old dudes, all right, we got Donald Moffat here in the first of back-to-back appearances. Well, not back-to-back, but he'll show up later in Clear and Present Danger. Alongside Harrison Ford. And then it's just a cavalcade of character actors, right? You got James Rebhorn showing up, not for a long time, one quick scene, but that guy was great and died too soon.
Oh, Rebhorn is no longer with us?
Rebhorn is no longer with us.
Yeah, this is a character actor bouquet. And then who's the guy that plays the jerk?
Bruce Altman.
Bruce Altman. Now, we couldn't find him Like, he's a guy we know, but this is really his big, part, right?
Yeah, and his first. But
And
yeah,
his
he played a
first.
jerk in future movies as well.
Okay. Yeah. Great jerk. And great 80s jerk. I mean, look, you're going to dress up an 80s jerk. What's he wearing, Paul?
Bright blue shirt, white collar suspenders. Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, he's and that's when Henry gets welcomed back to the office, but we're jumping ahead a little bit. So the amazing thing is, he gets shot immediately as an audience member, even though I know that this movie, I never seen it, but as an audience member, you go, he's dead. He just got shot in the heart. He's dead. Oh, what? He's still alive? He just got shot in the head. Okay. He's dead. Now we know in this movie, he stays alive. By the way, interesting little detail in the movie. That I thought was really cool, and this is for J.J. Abrams' compliment, is that when they described what happened when he got shot, the shot on the head, the guy goes, a lot of your brain is redundant memory. There are portions you can completely lose and still maintain full functionality. And he goes, however, the shot at the heart stifled the blood flow to the important part of the brain. It's actually the heart shot that causes him to lose all of them. So I thought that was like, wow, that's an interesting technical detail. Of course, you'd think it was the head. And the very first thing the doctor says, like, no, I actually didn't hurt him. It was the heart shot that actually fried his brain. So, but he's there. He's in a coma. We're now experiencing through Annette Bening's wonderful acting, this thing. And all she wants is him to come out of the coma. He comes out of the coma and we're so elated and she's so elated, only to have her go in and realize he doesn't know who she is. He doesn't know how to walk. He doesn't know how to speak. And it's just like, oh, it's so devastating for her because she thought she was going to get the happy ending for the movie. Just he comes out of the coma and there he is again. Oh, and it is signified 1,000 miles of bad road. This guy isn't your husband. He doesn't know who you are. So it's like, and yet you have this relationship you have to maintain in a life that you're going to try and get back to. And there is zero hope of that. That is a fascinating, down moment when he looks at her so blankly and she's like, oh man,
I
didn't even realize.
They just did something like that on Saturday Night Live, which was really wrong. It was a newlywed game show. And the woman had to guess her husband's greatest fear. She's like, spiders. He's like, no. He holds up his card and it says something like, my biggest fear is that you injure yourself and I have to feed you and take care of you. And then he can help you go to the bathroom for the rest of it. Something like that. And they're like, what? And that's his biggest fear. He was being honest, but that would be painful, awful.
And then, so they have to teach him
and we'd
shapes.
have no movie, but anyway.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We still have to have a movie here.
So he's not that bad.
But so he's got to learn to speak, to spell, to talk. And that's where Bill Nunn comes in, is right at the point where we're like, the guy can't tell a triangle from a square. Like, how's any of this going to happen? Then Bill Nunn comes in, classic 90s. He's got the Walkman on. He listens to his tunes. He's got all the cool catchphrases, and it kind of cracks Henry out of his little stupor. He's like, oh, what's this? Who's this? I've never met this type of person because I've never met anybody besides the couple people around me. So
yeah,
it makes for a fun entrance for Bill Nunn. You're like, all right, this guy's a lifeboat, a life preserver for this flailing movie, or flailing, family.
Yeah, the other doctors are so clinical. He comes in and Radio Raheem about everything.
Yeah,
and,
Radio
that
Raheem.
It's just 2 years from Radio Raheem, so I was all about Bill Nunn. Yeah,
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, Rebecca Miller shows up as well. One of her early scenes. Robin Bartlett, who ended up on Mad About You, plays Phyllis, the friend of Sarah's who gets the apartment, ends up smack talking Henry about.
Oh, right. Pretends to be your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting
kind of is her friend, but is more into the status than the friendship.
Right. Well, and because the family has lost that status. So, Henry and you even see at the beginning, it's only give you about 5 minutes, but they give you all the details of their life. They're going to dinners, they're lavish, this sort of, here's all the relationships, this sort of stuff. So they have this whole life that is not only is her husband taken from her, this life is, and, and all these people are all about the status. She doesn't have any income anymore. Her husband doesn't have a job anymore, So it's like, that is an interesting theme that gets in there that I think lesser writers would have forgotten. And then catches her talking bad about her, even though she was pretending to be her friend. And so now she's like, well, now the only person I kind of can trust is Henry. Like the rest of these people are, so it's an interesting way that brings, because we've seen a lot of movies where obviously the husband has a problem. He's a bad father. He's going to have to fix that by the end of this movie, all that sort of stuff. But everything in this movie, as much as it feels like, I'm like, have I seen this before? I don't think I have. The creative solutions to tearing family apart, but then putting the family back together and how they do it is like utterly original, even though it feels like I've seen this kind of like Oscar movie before. So, I mean, yeah. Because I kept saying, I'm like, have we seen a daughter teach their father to read? It feels like we would have, but I can't name a movie,
Yeah. Camion Allen, who eventually changed her name to Mickey Allen, plays the daughter, and this is her only film.
Oh, I was going to say, I've never seen this girl in anything else.
And this is a weird credit. The only other thing on IMDb is that she appeared on the George Lucas talk show as herself in 2021. So I'd be curious to check that out.
She did? Oh, we're going to find a clip of that. That's Griffin Newman's show.
This is your only appearance in a film? Like, I've got to watch that and wonder what the hell's going on there.
Do you know the premise of the George Lucas talk show?
I do, yes.
Okay, yeah, right. It's George Lucas and Watto hosting a talk show. It's very excited. That's cool that she's on that. I mean, also cool that someone pulled her out because she's probably just living a private life, hasn't acted ever since.
Yeah, exactly. But so the only thing about it, well, not the only thing about it, this is an okay film, but the ending, this is the thing that bothers me. Tell me what you think about this. When
it's a good movie, it does everything it needs to.
It's excellently. Yeah, it's a little too simple almost in its dealings with the various ends of the spectrum of either of its the power and the simpleness and the success and the family love and all that, but
crowd pleaser.
I remember seeing this in a movie called Nonstop with Liam Neeson. That there's a whole drama on the plane. They land the plane. He just kind of goes around to everybody and wraps up the plot. And he kind of does that in this movie too. He goes here and he tells this person whatever. I'm going to go up and wrap up all the scenes of the plot. Crazy Stupid Love did that too, which is a movie everybody loves. But somehow everybody ends up in one character's backyard just so they can wrap up all their plots before the credits roll. It's just a weird. I don't know how you avoid it sometimes if you got a lot of stuff in the mix and you do have to finish your movie. But when I watch it happen, I go, oh, it just seems a little stagnant, a little, it seems unnatural. That I always get taken out for a second. He kind of does that here. He goes around. He says, well, we're done. I'm not going to work here anymore. And I love you, daughter. And we're taking you out of school. Like, it's just, he goes around, he does all this stuff. And then the credits literally roll when he's done.
I know. I know. It's true. You're right. The second it wraps up, you're like, that's it. Well, okay.
Yeah, he did everything.
He did everything. Did all the shit he needed to do.
He told the jerk he was a jerk. He told the one guy. Yeah, exactly.
But the innocence thing is really cool because obviously you and I embrace innocence quite a bit. We've been in improv school, and all of our friends that we choose to spend all our time with are a bunch of little kids still, even though they're our age, So Did
I go to Knott's Berry Farm Saturday? Yes. Did I ride the Supreme Scream? Yes. I'm a child. Guilty.
You have passed the polygraph test. You are Paul Preston. But I, as much as I want to rebel in the back of my head and go, the one that really just seals it for me is, actually, let me explain this. The flashes of cleverness are very good because when we realize that the way this father is going to reconnect with his daughter is because he is now the child. She now has to teach him. I love the scene when she ties her shoes and he goes, how'd you learn how to do that? And she goes, you taught me. Yeah. And then she goes to the library to study and he won't stop making a nuisance and throwing paper at her. He's the little kid, he spills his milk at the breakfast and all this stuff that like really makes the kid and father bond together very quickly. Like you don't have to do a whole lot of stuff for us to go, oh, these two are going to have a good relationship going forward. So they kind of like wrap that up really efficiently, especially when she realizes he's distracting her in the library because he doesn't know how to read. And now the daughter has to teach her father how to read, which again sounds like it should be in 20 Oscar movies. And I don't think I've ever seen it. And then she does teach him to read. And then they get all excited. They run into the kitchen and he starts shouting, I can read, I can read, I can read. And they're all jumping up and down. And I'm like, there's your Oscar clip. And it just feels so bullshit at that point.
And of course, that's when Jerk walks in. The Jerk's like, what's going on here?
Right. But then it's like,
how are you having fun on my time? Yeah.
Yeah. there's other jerks to wrap up the plot too. But yeah, but I give it points for cleverness and how it got there. It's just running around saying, I can read. Congratulations. Here's your nomination.
Yeah. And it didn't get any. So speaking of that, all it got was that London Film Critics thing I mentioned. Mickey Allen was nominated for Best Young Actress starring in a motion picture at the Young Artist Awards, whatever those are. And I even wanted to find out what she's up to.
Before Nickelodeon had awards.
Her name on Wikipedia doesn't have a clickable link, so there's not even a write-up on her. So she really just got out as a kid. Maybe her parents just said, that was fun. Let's get you out of there so you can have a life.
Well, what's so interesting is she's very unconventional. She looks very boyish. And you said she changed her name, so she may have actually, changed genders as well. But she's a very unique looking girl. And you kind of feel like you've seen her in other movies, but you're like, nah, maybe I'm thinking of Danny Cooksey. I don't know. But
Thora Birch.
Thora
Birch shows up in Patriot Games, so we'll see her next.
Okay. But so I got the feeling, because I hadn't seen her in anything else, and that she's kind of so unique, and also not really like acting. She's like, they clearly found something naturalistic that they liked about how she related, because she's very like shut off a lot of times. Her and her dad aren't getting along.
She's getting the finger in her face from dad. Yeah, I mean, any break from that, she's gonna be welcome.
She got the Harrison Ford point, and he reserves that for like terrorists in France and stuff. So she's getting that. Yeah. But, so I thought maybe she wasn't an actor, and they're just like, let's cast this person who's got a lot of personality, and Mike Nichols likes her, and liked her in the audition. So I thought, maybe they picked a non-actor to just kind of be more naturalistic in this. So
J.J. Abrams' first son's name? Take a guess.
Henry.
It's Henry. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Named him after Indiana Jones. That's wonderful.
So yeah, mostly bad reviews. I don't think that surprises us, but Canby, Travers, Ebert at 2 Ebert, even so. All lukewarm to negative. Trivializing big issues, slick tearjerker, obvious and shallow contrivance, easy emotional payoffs. And people said this movie did for getting shot in the head what Pretty Woman did for prostitution. Ouch. People.
Wow. Who wrote that?
People. Like, they'd say nothing deep about anything.
Oh my gosh.
And that leads to a 45%.
Meanwhile, People Weekly was like, he's buying a handbag just like us. So there's a difference in the two.
Earlier in the same article. So that leads to 45% on RottenTomatoes.com. And of course, the cinema score with audiences, A-. But that shows you the ongoing and always and forever disparity between critics and audiences. Audiences just don't care what critics think.
Nope. The critics are just there to give them some information about it and go, okay, but I don't need your opinion, dude. Tell me what the movie's about. I don't need your opinion, dude.
But this kind of sums up the movie well from Wikipedia. The film was nominated in 2006 by the American Film Institute for their 100 Years, 100 Cheers list, but was not selected.
Oh, it definitely deserves to be nominated. It's a heartwarmer. Yeah, but
so
I can read. Oh, shut up, movie.
So let's go through the list of essentials. I mentioned the point. Yep, right in Mickey Allen's face when he was apologizing. Yeah, so
right before he went out to get his smokes and got shot. Right, like that's the moment before, I think. Right.
Yeah, right before that. And righteous anger.
I just want to tell you, I'm sorry about what I said earlier, and you're a good kid.
Well, he's making her speak Latin and stuff. He said, "What a jerk."
I know. He's such a prick father. Yeah. That is such a great addition to the cold father thing of like, let's say that in Latin, in Greek. Isn't that like,
that's right.
He's become Henry Jones Sr.
Yeah, they didn't exactly have a great relationship.
Yeah, that's an interesting connection.
Yeah. A righteous anger. There is one great moment of righteous anger, very much like my wife, goddammit, from Frantic, when he's had enough of Emmanuel Sainer just doing all her BS and keep her on track with he's trying to find his wife. He was talking to Sarah about his affair or something like that, and she's going, "You were a jerk" or something like that. We Sarah ends up sleeping with the jerk, right? And so she's like trying to explain that you weren't the same, and he goes, "I don't remember what I was like, Sarah." So he has that Harrison Ford, "I didn't kill my wife" moment. You find this man, all that, he gets that righteous anger in there. He has one moment of that actually late in the film once he's piecing everything together and realizing what he's piecing together might hurt.
Yeah. Well, do we have to give the movie credit for that too? That the affair thing and how that comes about, because much like Presumed Innocent, we are dropped in. We don't know what he did the night before. We don't know what their relationship was before. So this movie does, and I feel like when we see a movie that hand feeds us and starts at the beginning and kind of feeds us all this, well, here's who they are, and here's the affair they're having, or whatever. But instead, since this begins where it begins, we only find that out after he has lost all of his memory, and that they were both having affairs. And you can't, of all the things you have to explain to your husband, who you now have to teach the ABCs, how to walk, all this sort of stuff. Like the idea that she was having an affair, he was having an affair, and more, and really, again, I've never seen this in another movie. The girl at the office. And I did note when he first comes back to the office, when he finally gets better, he goes back to the law office. You had the funniest line, Paul, when we were watching it, when they're teaching him the blocks and the ABCs and this sort of stuff. And you go, okay, let's move on to,
give me a counter argument to this legal problem. Oh, we're moving too fast. We're moving too fast.
Now let's move on to, Fetterman versus the District of Columbia. We're moving too fast.
No, she gives him looks, and there's something going on there. You got to kind of eyeball. Meanwhile, you got Rudy coming up to him in one of the best lines in the movie when he comes up and goes, "Hi, I'm Rudy. Rudy, good to have you back." And then
that is the best
Henry
line.
Goes, "Who is that?" And Jerk has one of the best lines. Yeah, he's an asshole.
It's so good.
That's
and it's
total
so
JJ
random.
line of dialogue right there.
Very much so. Very much. He's an asshole. and that's the only thing you could get about Rudy when you see him too. You're like, what? Because he's dressed all weird. I can't remember what Rudy looked like, but it was so.
Yeah, he was just like a little. Not whatever the British Jim from The Office is.
Right.
He looks like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you look at her position, that the wife can eventually get to the topic of, by the way, I was having an affair. Obviously, it comes out because Henry finds out, but they can obviously get through that, get back into the relationship, figure that out. The girl at the office is a secret. Nobody knows about her. She can't tell anybody, and they were in love. So you realize when that is revealed, that, and again, yes, of course, he goes and goes, sorry, we had an affair. Bye. It really is, sort of dealt at the end. But the idea of that you could tell the entire movie from her point of view, that she can't tell anybody they were in love. He's never going to remember that. He doesn't even know what an affair is probably at this point too, So that was pretty fascinating, but again, kind of sloughed off, but great ideas. I mean, I give JJ Abrams' script a lot of credit for doing a lot of stuff that felt familiar, but I don't think it's been done before.
Well, and then of course we get away with this with no punches. So the punch,
no punches.
The punch
Nobody
count
gets punched.
is not updated from regarding him. Although he should have punched a number of people, he does not punch anybody.
Oh yeah.
So
I could have seen that. She just punched Rudy. Just the very end credits. Just Rudy's like, "Hi, I'm Rudy." You're like, "Yeah, crowd pleaser, man."
Do you have the end of the script there?
I do.
Let's just do these last few lines.
All right.
They're a callback to the first few lines, which we'll do next week.
Oh, I just saw some of those lines, so I think I know what the bit might be. The very end here. Okay. All right, I got it. I only have one line. I'll figure this one out.
If you have anything else to say about the film, chime in at the Movie Guys everywhere on social media or wherever you listen to the show, and of course themovieguys.net, and that's our show regarding Henry.
Join us for the next show, which is all about Patriot games.
Stop it.
Rudy. Yeah, he's an asshole.
All right, we can stop recording.
All
right. I got a few minutes here to cover some other stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
David, you can stop recording.
David, stop recording your laugh track. I do want to find out what parts you enjoyed of that.
Send us that. Yeah, send us that, please, by all means. Let's get this done here so we can chat.
Regarding Henry.
Henry.
This is the part of the show where we label our files.
It's the most fascinating part.
Convo Adam saved. Okay, there we go. We have now recorded media for the show. Now on to other nonsense. Here,
all right, let me run through some things and then you can get to your list.
Hold on, we gotta go to a commercial break first. Too. Okay. We gotta divide our segments here.
Naturally.
Get in locker. Come on.
Real audio. Well played. Roach Smith.
Well played. Well played.
All right, what did people chime in with? Let's see. He gets shot in the back. Yeah, Fred Murray pointing out that when Bruce Dern shot John Wayne, it was in the back. So that's even what people hated even more.
Villainy.
You wanted to kill Bruce Dern. Hans Zimmer. Do you have something to do with Video Killed the Radio Star?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I just found that out like a year ago or something, or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Buggles.
That's a great song. Yeah, and the Presidents of the United States of America, I think, covered it. Also a great cover.
I mean, it's one of the most famous songs ever made because of the
first video on
MTV.
Yeah,
right.
Greatest IC champion of all time. We're talking about who are we talking about?
Oh, Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man. Yeah. I love 80s jerks. Yeah, go to the movie guys. Look up just search like jerks of the 80s or something. I wrote a whole
that's right.
article about them.
You ranked them, or you didn't rank them, but you.
I just had to give them some love because Cobra Kai came back, and you know that William Zabka is one of the great 80s jerks of all time. You got to love the guy who played Kent in Real Genius because he was a nerd jerk, and then he was a high society jerk in Bachelor Party, and it was like good acting to play two different spectrums of jerk. High rich jerk, and then like low nerd jerk. But
Kent, that's such a good jerk call. Kent is a great one.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch more on there, so go find that article.
Yeah, Fred always called out the Carrie Elways just became the go-to jerk for a while there, like the jerk off in Liar Liar, and played all that stuff. Hey, Sporto.
Yeah, he was like a '90s jerk. There's probably a whole catalog of those jerk. Too. More, maybe that's where what's his name?
Not quite a Zabka.
From Billy Madison started to be a jerk.
Nice.
Bradley Whitford was a jerk quite often back then too. They need Chat GPT to end it. Yes, if we rather than having the character go around and wrap up all the plots, we'll just throw all this in the Chat GPT. They'll get it figured out. Tim was Martin Freeman's character on The Office, I believe, but that's not the one I was referring to. I was referring to the guy who played Dwight because he looked like the Dwight character from the British Office.
Oh, right.
Which I saw so long ago. I don't forget.
He looked like not Dwight.
God, his name is right there. Do I have COVID? Why can't I remember these things?
I've rubbed off on you. It's what's
Gareth.
his face? Gareth.
All right. An affair not to remember.
See,
that's the subtitle to Regarding Henry. An affair to not remember.
That's a pretty good one.
There we go. So Garth. I think Gareth even is because that's more British.
Gareth. More British even.
Yeah. But all right, let me run through some fun stuff real quick, and then we'll get to Adam's game here. I'll just try and take a few minutes on this. First of all, Adam, just because you'll want to know this, there is now even more new Hasbro characters announced at Star Wars Celebration. And they've got now short round 4 different versions of Indy, including on the far right there, the current look of Indy.
Wow.
And then that's third in from the right, that's Helena, who's the new character from the new movie.
Yeah. Oh, I got to get all these. Why wouldn't I have all these?
Yeah, 4 Indies, a short round, and there's also a Marcus and a Belloc. Not pictured,
but look at the Aces version of Indy on the far left from Temple of Doom, and the one with the monkey on the hat is just such an Aces version of him from Cairo.
Yeah.
Wow. And they've got Thuggy.
Yeah.
It looks like he's wearing a half shirt there, but it's a Thuggy. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he's totally hypnotized Indy and then short round in the.
Yeah. Oh, these are amazing. Boy, we had the worst Indiana Jones toys. I mean, you flashed the picture of the old ones, but oh my God, it looked like Han Solo had melted or whatever in the mold process. Yeah, take my money. My goodness. I mean, why wouldn't I have every single thing I'm looking at right now? I'm an adult. I have a job. I own Croc Master, I'm the sort of guy I'm now we're not in a post Crocmaster world, Paul. We are in a post Crocmaster world, so I think I'm back into toys. They're making these things like
you unpackaged Crocmaster,
huh?
You unpackaged Crocmaster.
I did unpackage.
You'll never know how much it'll be worth.
He's just too cool. It's too cool to have toys out. I've got a whole shelf. This whole background's going to change at some point here, but I have a bunch of new action figures. Thanks to Andres Gallego. Gosh, I got it wrong the first time, and now I can never remember which one's the right one.
Oh wow, I've been saying Gallego with no fear that I was ever wrong. So
okay,
and I was right.
he convinced me to get the when we were doing one of these nonsense shows where you weren't here to go and get the Moon Knight from the TV show, and I was like, oh hell yeah! So I got that randomly delivered one day. I'm like, because I ordered it way in advance or whatever. So, but yeah, I think toys have gotten so good that I'm just I think we're in a post Crocmaster world. I couldn't leave them in the package. I got to tell you.
Twitter has now, if you type in Indiana Jones, they'll give you the icon. That's it blown up, so it looks like crap because, as you can imagine, it's super tiny in a tweet.
Yeah.
But now, if you type Indiana Jones, probably right on through the opening of the movie, you'll get this little indie icon on your tweets.
Merchandise.
Merchandising. Well, we played a tiny clip of the new Indiana Jones trailer, but Adam doesn't want to see too much. But we should show everybody, including you, Adam, the new poster, which is just awesome.
It's so glorious. Look at that. So this is the one you want on your wall, right, Paul? Because I saw that last one. I was like, ooh, that'd be a cool poster to get, but this is the one to get right here.
Yeah, I mean, I want them both. You kidding me?
I mean, look at that. I just can't believe it, Paul. It's
You want the running time?
Please tell me it's 3 hours.
Purported to be 2 hours, 22 minutes.
Nice. Excellent. Longer. More. You can't, I mean, yeah. After 2 hours into John Wick 4, I was like, I want this movie to go on forever. And then it went on for a little while longer.
For a lot longer.
Yeah. It was awesome. Man, I got to get all those Indiana Jones action figures. Why would I not get all those? And they've already got the first assortment out there, right?
Here, Brad's chiming in that they have retro 3 3/4 80s retro figures.
Saw that. I might have to get that. Yeah. That's the one I'd leave in the package. I have a retro. The only one I have in a package is a retro Boba Fett.
It should also be noted that the great Norman Reynolds has passed away. Who's Norman Reynolds?
Production designer, famous one.
You want to know how famous? He was the art director on Star Wars, Superman, and Superman 2. And he was the production designer on The Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
Just incredible career that he really ended about 20 years ago. Last thing he was in, I think, was Bicentennial Man. He was the production designer for that. And in between the great work on Jedi and the late work, he was in Empire of the Sun. He was production designer for Mission Impossible. He was production designer for Alien 3. So
Alien 3!
Yeah, so he worked a ton.
Mission Impossible, Sphere, one of the great movies to reference.
He worked
Return to Oz
and then just quit. Yeah, but good Lord. Star Wars, Empire, Raiders, Jedi. Forget it. You're done. You could Superman 2, retire.
Wow.
But he still worked for another 20 plus years or whatever.
Jeez, what a production design. Oh my gosh. And clean slate. That's so funny that I would love the outliers in anybody's biography. Everybody has to work. I'm not making fun of anybody, but he's the production designer of Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Return of the Jedi, Empire of the Sun, Alien 3, and clean slate.
What's funny is, though, you could say, I know, right? What's funny is you could say he did Empire and Return, right? Oh yeah, Return to Oz and Empire of the Sun.
Oh gosh, you're right. That's good.
If someone wants to know what we thought about Mangold being announced as the director of Dawn of the Jedi movie at Star Wars Celebration,
I'm just finding out.
Dude, you got to look up Star Wars Celebration because
I haven't.
There's a new movie. There's 3 movie announcements now. Granted, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. They've announced Patty Jenkins. They've announced the Game of Thrones guys. They've announced Rian Johnson's trilogy. None of these movies get made. They announced 3 more. Okay. Mangold making Dawn of the Jedi, a new movie with Rey, post Rise of Skywalker.
I heard that.
And a third one I forgot that someone will put on the chat.
Okay, right.
But this one I heard about and I went, okay, you don't need to hype us up about Indiana Jones anymore. We're already going to go. If this is like that, like when they announced, oh, Patty Jenkins is making a Star Wars movie, so please go see Wonder Woman, and then 1984, and it turned out to be crap, and no, that was crap, and Rogue Squadron isn't happening. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's great. He's a good director. I'll take it.
Well, he was previously attached to the Boba Fett movie, which became The Mandalorian, right?
Oh, is that right?
Well, yeah, he was doing Boba Fett for a while, and when The Mandalorian came out, I was like, "Oh, this is what it became." They decided, let's not deal with all the mythology and stuff. Let's just start fresh with a different type of Mandalorian. And so I saw the TV show. I go, "This is what Mangold's project became." They're not going, which is why I never in a million years thought Boba Fett would return in that show. That was the most shocking thing I've ever seen. I was like, "Get out of town," because I was like, well, because they're not doing Boba Fett, this is the show. Mandalorian, it's a new guy. You can still do all the sort of stuff. So I did not expect to see.
Oh, that's right. Filoni's doing a New Republic versus Imperial Remnant movie. I'd watch that. I mean, but so clearly all leading up to that in these TV shows.
So New Republic versus Imperial Remnant would mean that comes before the sequel trilogy, I guess?
Yes. I think.
Or after, or something. Yeah, no, I guess I got to look up a lot more stuff.
Yeah, they've announced Bad Batch season 3. They announced Ahsoka, of course, and put out that trailer. That was a big deal. Indy trailer.
Yes, I saw that trailer. Holy crap! Really cool.
Wait, let's see. I know what else they did. I can tell you because we're talking about it on the Disney podcast this week. Return of the Jedi is coming back to theaters for its 40th anniversary. Star Wars Vision Seasons 2 is coming. Star Wars Tales of the Jedi is coming for Season 2. More locations are going to be added to the Star Tours ride at Disney,
your favorite,
the Disney parks. So yeah, tons of news came out of there, and all the big stars were there. So yeah, look up all that stuff. Go to StarWars.com. Go to StarWars.com. It's all in the news, and just click news.
I'm going to go to Ken Knapsack's podcast. He'll inform me of everything that's going on. John Hoey. I'll check in with the Resistance. I'll check in with the usual suspects. I'll let them tell me all the stuff that.
Yeah, and I agree with this. The announcement is super confident. If you're not loving, see, that's the thing. I would say you're not loving. You have to love Dial of Destiny to put Mangold on a Star Wars movie, but then again, I think they announced Patty Jenkins to sort of pre-hype, I don't know, too early. So I don't know. This seems early at the same time. I don't know what the hell.
So she was attached previously. She is no longer
to Rogue
attached
Squadron. The whole Rogue Squadron project is dead. At least for the moment.
I mean, I don't know. If they're not feeling it, then, just say, all right, we're not doing Rogue Squadron. Instead, we'll do a TV show and we'll give it to somebody else. So, yeah, I mean, maybe this stuff doesn't show up or, and they've got to announce something. It is what's in development. I mean, really, we've just created an atmosphere where they have to tell us what's in development. It's like, that's how it used to be, news of what's actually happening or whatever. But it's like, well, what are you guys thinking of? Oh, we're thinking of Rogue Squadron. Oh, okay, cool. We're not doing Rogue Squadron. How dare you? Well, you're the one that stood in front of my house for a month. I had to tell you something, you know what I'm saying?
And let's see. So that's all the stuff. I came across this the other day. Speaking of Hanks and Harrison Ford, is that the biggest photo from Vanity Fair of the biggest talent of the last 50 years?
What's that Dorton doing there?
I don't know.
Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, he's pretty good, but he's been nominated for 3 Oscars or something.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, all right. Please, Paul. I think you know why I said why the fuck's he there.
I did.
Man. Oh, wow. And that's usually the picture you see without Harrison Ford, without one of them. You could, or without, so, when you see a gathering of big stars, you're like, but that's the biggest, huh? And as you've said, those are the last movie stars we're all looking at right there. That's Tom Cruise hadn't done no TV show. Harrison Ford finally got in some prestige TV. Brad Pitt hasn't done a TV show.
No, Hanks, Jack, no.
Hanks, has done some straight to streaming movies, but never done a TV show.
That's true. Yeah,
Jack. So everybody there has never done TV until Harrison Ford broke the.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Those are movie stars.
And he did it at 78 or whatever. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, of course. Yes.
So maybe.
Well, let us not forget his appearance on what's the teen detective thing from back then. I can't remember what that. Where he's the beach cop. What's a show called? Well, I can't make the reference. I'm not going to get the laugh.
Okay, let's get on to your game because time's ticking. I got to get out of here. I was hoping to get out of here by 4:30.
No, we can get out of here because it's not the game. It's just I wanted to rank the bottom 15 Harrison Ford movies, but we're already at 4:30. We're already an hour and a half into the show. You want to do it some other time?
Hang on, Steve Schultz makes a good point. Hank started in TV. That's good.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That is his version of
yeah. But I mean, plenty of these stars do bit parts, like Bruce Willis was on Miami Vice or whatever. But of course, he was on Moonlighting too. But anchoring a big show like that, yeah, Hanks did. So how do you want to do that? You want to do it next week, or
we'll do it some other time.
All right,
because I'm also having trouble finding it. I don't know where it is right now.
The rankings.
Yeah,
I got
mine movies right, but I don't have Harrison Ford ranked. Well, I had a whole document that I would put up on the screen, so I'll find that and we'll do that some other time, because going forward it'll be fun as soon as we're done talking about a movie to go, okay, where's it go in the rankings? So
right. So we'll do that next week with Regarding Henry.
Yeah, we'll have the script for Regarding Henry, and then we'll do the rankings, and I'll find that script wherever that is.
Then there might be just one or two more things I have here to show you. Where is that photo of Harrison Ford arriving on set to Captain America: New World Order? I have it on my other computer. But anyway, he's arrived. They're shooting, and it was announced that Liv Tyler is going to play Betty.
No way.
And so they once again are leaning into the Incredible Hulk.
Awesome.
They do not let the Incredible Hulk go.
That
is just great.
Is great.
They don't say, well, we screwed up that one. Nope.
Yeah, because there's never been a Betty Ross in the MCU, and why wouldn't Betty Ross be with Mark Ruffalo? Yeah.
Well, Betty was in. Yeah, Liv Tyler played her in The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, with Edward Norton.
Edward Norton. Yeah.
Edward Norton of the famous team of Jack Nicholson, Brad Pitt, Harrison Ford, Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks. How many of these guys have been in a Marvel movie? Just one.
Coming up, or two. Two.
Yeah, it'll be two soon. But playing the president of the United States for the second time. Only the second time.
Yeah. Boy, that's got to be interesting, because boy, I don't know anything. I haven't read the comics, but Ross had it out for the Avengers in the last few movies, so be curious to see where that whole relationship goes.
Well, that's what's going to be really interesting about this is, he's the villain. The president of the United States is, I don't know if he's Hydra or what, but, he's like, Thunderbolt Ross, is not the hero. But what a cool choice for president, and what a cool choice for Thunderbolt Ross. No mustache.
I also would like to play a game called Magazine of the Week.
Okay.
Yeah, we've looked at these premier magazines, but I have a whole, like the third shelf down here is like Harrison Ford magazines.
Okay.
So this one is from 1997.
Show
Not quite
and
the year
tell.
we're covering. Not quite the year we're covering. But remember George magazine? JFK Jr.
I do.
magazine?
Yeah, JFK Jr.
Yeah, Ford was on the
magazine.
front of it. Looking like Abraham Lincoln.
Wow.
The Secret Passions of Harrison Ford.
Oh, I want that photo on my wall like nothing else. That and a Ritz cracker painting is the two things.
Oh my God, how funny with a Ritz cracker painting. I forgot to bring that up in the thing. But
I got it in the script. So we'll get to it.
Yeah, there he is.
Oh,
and then,
man.
There he is.
Oh my God. That's the greatest thing. I gotta have a photo. Can you imagine printing that on a canvas, a painting of to make it look like a painting of Harrison Ford as Abraham Lincoln? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Oh,
I'll try and show a different one every week for a while.
That's cool. George Magazine. Now that's a real blast from the past. Like that magazine wasn't around for long. Might not have even been good. I don't know. A rich kid.
2-3 years. Yeah. At the most.
Wow. George Magazine. Seemed like a dumb magazine always to me.
Yeah. 96. I think it came around in 96 or so.
Oh my God, dressed as Abraham Lincoln. That is awesome. That is so awesome. But yeah, Paul, I think we need to have a show where we both try and paint Ritz crackers, and we just sit here and we just talk and paint Ritz crackers, and then we can put them up on our wall, because I think we both need a Ritz crackers painting on our Harrison Ford walls. You know what I'm saying?
Ideally, I checked Etsy and Pinterest. I didn't find anything.
They didn't
have to do it ourselves.
Do it ourselves. Yeah.
I also was looking through. I searched Indiana Jones in my computer just to bring up to look for. So I was looking for old photos from some magazine or something, and I found this. There's me on Hollywood Boulevard. Remember when there were like these paintings along Hollywood Boulevard on every sort of pull down?
Yep. Oh, it was beautiful. You drive down Hollywood Boulevard, and every one of these shutters would have a different face on them. It was really cool. That is Hollywood in the early 2000s. Paul, would you believe I have literally the same photo of myself standing exactly right there? Should we be friends? Should we start a podcast? I have exactly that. Boy, I love that though. Put that back up for a second. Just look how worn the door is, and that's a cool shot, dude. That's great.
Yeah, I remember they had Bogey and James Dean, maybe, and
they had all kinds of them, yeah. And then they had like Marx Brothers, and
I don't know why they went away, but I don't think that one's there anymore, which is a shame.
No, I think that was right next to the Second City, wasn't it? That was like right there. I think.
I think it was across the street, but yeah, right around there.
Oh, was it? Okay, yeah, that's cool. I'll find mine that looks like that, and we can put that up because that's a total twinsies. I have exactly that photo of me, probably leaning with the exact same foot up, looking off in the same direction.
All right, well, that's enough show. We'll finish up regarding Henry, throw it into the ranking, and I'll keep that on going. I got it in a note here on my computer, in a note, the Notepad app, my ongoing ranking, and we'll keep adding to it as we go.
Right on. Okay, cool. So that'll be next week.
All right.
But hey, everyone, thanks for watching and enjoying the conversation here and everything like that. And I hope it was entertaining and informative about Harrison Ford.
Give him hell, Indiana Jones!
A few times in my life, I've seen things.
Stop it.
I can't handle that. That is a lot that you just showed me there. I'm gonna have to dine on that all day. Wow,
it was certainly not
unremarkable.
Indeed. But do you think they're going to die?
We are going to die.
I know when I watch it, I won't think.
What an incredible waste of time.
Because you would be
insulting them, and you're embarrassing me. Eat it.
Eat it.
All right. Here's how the show ends. See you next week.
Luke Skywalker and Han Solo rescued the princess, destroyed the Death Star, but their story didn't end there. Now, the creators of the biggest smash hit of all time bring you the next episode in the Star Wars saga, The Empire Strikes Back.